That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, before we sort of get into the rest of this stuff, I don't know if did you have a chance to hear Craig Sauvé a couple of minutes ago?
Every word.
What do you think of this ranked ballot idea?
You know, I got to tell you, I have always been a big fan of Craig Sauvé. I think he's a stand-up guy, and I think he does. He's an example of people who do, step up for the public good. That said, I would have been much happier to hear him, in fact, not just answer your question, but in fact make the announcement that he would be asking Quebec to reduce the absolutely obscene number of councillors we have, basically acting as molasses to any kind of progress the city is going to see. We have an absolutely bloated governance system, which is almost as obese as the civil service. But I think a good place to start is cutting the number. Like you say, it's 104. 104, Aaron. And no, we're not getting bang for our buck. And it costs us money. And more importantly, it costs us time. And, the idea somehow of maybe, let me be crazy, maybe if we just limited the number of councillors for this city to 65, which is Montreal City Council as opposed to the boroughs, and remove the myth, first of all, that, the borough councils allow people to, have closer proximity to their governments. That's rubbish. The Liberals at the day, after they undid the forced mergers, threw this as a bone to the demerged people who are going to say, well, you're not just a city councillor anymore. You'll be the borough mayor. Right. So it's just absolute rubbish, and I really think if people have any concern for the future of the city, and they talk about austerity, well, start by cutting the bureaucracy, start by cutting the governance, and honestly, with all due respect to Mr. Sauvé as well, he mentioned you have to get this cleared. Any idea he's got has to be cleared by Quebec, which you recall is at the moment being run by a guy named Francois Legault, who publicly promised that he would eliminate the first past the post electoral system back in 2018 and simply broke his word.
Never happened. By the way, should point out, the municipal affairs minister, the provincial one is gone now, right?
Oh,
she's going to run in Senate. She's going to run somewhere else.
Let me tell you a little thing, okay? When I was one of the best jobs I ever had in my life, I was a assignment editor at the Montreal Gazette, and people would ask me, what's your objective of your job? And I said, to make it very, very short, my objective, if I'm doing my job right, you're going to have a front page of the Gazette that's going to have a two-word headline. The headline is going to say, total chaos. And then the secondary headline below that will be, and the worst is yet to come. My friend, that day has arrived. When I look, normally, Aaron, mayors announce they're leaving municipal politics to get into provincial politics because this person perhaps has been groomed to be a cabinet minister. When a cabinet minister, and indeed the Minister of Municipal Affairs, says, I'm going to be leaving provincial politics to run as mayor of Saguenay, il y a quelque chose qui est crache en dedans, as we say in these parts. And of course, it is, as the opposition is saying, it's fin de regime. It is fin de regime. Unfortunately, that fin is going to take 13 freaking months, Aaron, and who knows what's going to happen. We've got already Legault proroguing the legislature because, the people I'm going to name next week will need 2 weeks to familiarize themselves with their jobs. Now, let's just fall back on some facts. This cabinet shuffle was announced by Francois Legault 9 weeks ago. Do you mean to tell me that it took him 9 weeks to figure out until now? Because it's absolutely clear to me that the choices weren't made until this week. It's absolutely clear to me that one of the things that perhaps inspired Madame Laforette to leave the government was, the realization, I'm not going to be in this cabinet, or I'm going to be moved to something I don't want to do. And quite frankly, I'd much rather be mayor of Saguenay because this place is going down with all hands. That's fine. But we're the ones who are stuck. There's no life jackets for us, Aaron. Yeah. We're stuck on the Titanic, and it's bubbling, and the water keeps getting higher, and these guys don't have a clue.
Jim, I was going to just say, go ahead, please.
No, yeah, and the other thing is, we're talking about all the headlines out of Quebec City. Did you see what happened? I'd probably not, but there was a story in La Presse today. The fall of sizes began, which is the start. It's like opening day for the justice system. So down at the Palais de Justice in Montreal, right, you have the chief justices essentially telling the assembled, the lawyers, the prosecutors, the defense lawyers, saying, we are independent. They have to say this And in fact, the Chief Justice of the Court of Quebec said, no, Simon Jolin Barrette is not running the Court of Quebec. They have to say this because people like Jolin Barrette, people like François Legault have publicly questioned the integrity of our judicial system, claiming that, you know what, these judges are named by the federal. What the hell are you talking about? You're the Justice Minister? One's the Justice Minister, the other one's the Premier of Quebec. This crap is going on every day. And in the meantime, we're all supposed to be biting our nails over who he chooses for his cabinet. It's not going to make any difference. The only thing we should be concerned about is how much damage or not they'll do between now and the next election.
I was simply going to say, you got to wonder now if maybe we should start a drinking game or a game of some kind to see on what date. I think everyone now that I've spoken to is telling me, you included, that it's just a matter of time until François Legault decides to throw it in, right? And not go all the way and wait till next October to get to an election. You think that's the case? Is this a sooner rather than later in your take?
Our very good friend, David Hertel, has suggested to you, I think earlier this week, that there may be the equivalent of what happened with Justin Trudeau, right? That there's going to be someone within the caucus who's going to come up to him and say, you've got to go. There'll be the CAC equivalent of a Chrystia Freeland, okay? I don't think there's the equivalent of a Chrystia Freeland anywhere in the National Assembly. But all that said, I have a sneaking suspicion that perhaps more than one MNA will come up to him. There'll be a delegation that will go and say, listen, boss, you're going to have to go. Because if you don't go, we're all going to resign, okay? And if you want to run 6 or 7 or 8 by-elections between now and October, that's purely up to you. But I think for the good of the party, you should skedaddle. Because they're not going to win the next election as a government. They may be able to hang on as a party, Aaron. But this is done. This is completely done. And for François Legault to pretend otherwise or to stall Quebec taxpayers, and don't forget, all these guys who recently realized a $10,000 a year raise are still on the dime, even if the legislature is prorogued. So, really, how cynical is this? How many games are we going to have to play with this, this government of proven incompetence before someone does the right thing, either calls an election, steps down? This cannot continue. This is total chaos, and the worst should not be allowed to occur.
Jim, last thing, I started the show today with the Jean Charest clip. I'm going to get back to this in a sec. I'm sure you've heard it by now. It's funny because he said this actually a month ago, but it's now getting a little bit of traction with respect to he thinks that all of us will be saying thank you to Donald Trump 20 years from now.
I think if we're still around 20 years from now, and who knows, the way things are going in the States, what's going to happen in 20 months is a bit of a mystery. But I think he's right. I think if nothing else, it was a wake-up call. If nothing else, it shook us out of our reverie, our idea that, it's easier. So let's just put all of our money on, bet the same, damn number on the roulette table, when in fact the entire world was out there, and now we're figuring that part out. So in that regard, I think he's right. But honestly, I think for the 20-year window, we'll see about that, my friend.
James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Demain.